The nerves are 5 nerves in front of the ear and 5 nerves behind the ear. Of the 5 nerves in front of the ear, 4 are sensory and 1 is motor. And similarly, of the 5 nerves which you have behind the ear, 4 are sensory, 1 is motor. So that's something which is easy to remember. The motor nerve is always a branch of the facial nerve, whether it is in the front or the back. In the front, we have the temporal branches of the facial nerve. Temporal branch of the facial nerve. The 4 sensory nerves are supratrochlear and supraorbital, which are branches ultimately of the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal. Zygomatic temporal is coming from the maxillary nerve, and finally the auriculotemporal nerve, which is one of the terminal branches of the mandibular division of the trigeminal nerve. So we have sensory nerves all coming from trigeminal nerve. Motor nerve is coming from the facial. Now behind the ear, again you have 4 sensory nerves, and they are the third occipital nerve, which means it's a very tiny slender nerve which is very close to the midline of the body, that is behind, close to the ligamentum nuchae. Because it is called as third occipital nerve because it is from the posterior ramus of the third cervical nerve. The next one, which is a much bigger nerve, that's known as the greater occipital nerve, nobody can miss it, and that is coming from the posterior primary ramus of the second cervical nerve. Still in front of that you have what is known as the lesser occipital nerve, which is supplying not only the scalp but also part of the behind the ear. And then you have lastly what is known as the great auricular nerve, which supplies a part of the back and also the part of the ear. Like the only motor nerve that you have in here is one which is coming in here, that is what is known as the posterior auricular branch of the facial nerve. So one thing is very clear, that the muscles are supplied by facial nerve. In front of the ear, the temporal branch of the facial nerve. Behind the ear is posterior auricular branch of facial. So you have sensory nerves, they anastomose among themselves, they form a network, and therefore every area of the skin is supplied with a cutaneous nerve. Like that same story on the other side. 10 nerves, 5 nerves in front of the ear, 5 nerves behind the ear. Of the 5 nerves in front of the ear, 4 are sensory, 1 is motor. Of the 5 nerves behind the ear, 4 are sensory, 1 is motor. And that is therefore about the nerve supply. And the skin of the scalp is extremely sensitive, having got so many cutaneous nerves like that.